Good afternoon, friends. This is Amit Goyal. Today I have with me Mr. Sujan Sinha.
Hey.
Hello, sir. Mr. Sujan Sinha is the person who grew Shriram Housing from zilch to a 1700 crore loan book in just 7 years. I have known him for past 5 years, and he has been very forthcoming in supporting us with our mission of advancing the banking and financial services industry. Mr. Sinha graduated in science from Presidency College of Calcutta to become the probationary officer with State Bank of India. He was there for about 15 years, and then he had a small stint with the NBFC company before joining Axis Bank. Now, with Axis, he has had an opportunity to be in the core team, which actually set up the retail lending business of Axis Bank. And then he moved on with Shriram Housing, where he became the legendary CEO. He's decorated with a lot of awards. I can't mention all of them, but 2016 he was awarded as the best CEO. 2017 he was recognized to be amongst top 100 BFSI professionals in the country, and this year in UK he has been awarded as the Inspiring Leader 2018. So we have the man with us, and today in this unique interview, we are going to discuss with him how he took his early career decisions to become what he is today. Hello, sir.
Hi.
So, sir, our first question is: are you an accidental banker, or doing science and then becoming a probationary officer was a thoughtful strategy?
To be very frank, I'm a romantic banker. Actually, it's like this, that it's very, very simple reasons. My wife and we were classmates in college.
Oh,
So from first year in the undergraduate course, we decided we'll get married. So as soon as I was of age to appear for the probationary officers exams in State Bank of India, I did so. Got through luckily, quit my studies, and got married. So that was the beginning of my banking career. It has been interesting. So I joined very early. I mean, I was 22 when I started my career. I was a geology student, did my honors in geology graduation. Halfway through my post-graduation, I left and joined the financial services. Never really looked back. I think, in a sense, maybe my personality, more of an extrovert, enjoying people, speaking with people, helped because though the public sector banks were not exactly known for marketing, but there were people like us who actually, without knowing that we were marketing, were a lot more market oriented, visiting, going out of office, being on our feet. So that was the thing which really changed things. I was in a very difficult terrain. For the first 9 years of my career, I was posted in the northeast, places like Mizoram and Meghalaya and all that.
oh,
Yeah, so that also helped shaping up the career because ability to adapt, ability to work in multiple situations, learning languages, learning people, learning habits, cultures, and everything. I think quite a bit of it have been very, very interesting. And looking back today, you realize the strengths of all those stresses. So that was the beginning of my banking career.
So, what kind of a student were you in school? You were a front bencher, back bencher, or outstanding? Outstanding as in standing outside the class.
No, I was reasonably a backbencher, but we never used to sit in the last bench because that was the focus of the class teachers. So we used to be in a couple of the rows ahead of the last bench. But we were the people who used to finish our tiffin boxes by the second period and then raid the other tiffin boxes during when lunchtime came. So I was in a boys' school, so it's not really bullying, but the point is that we were more on the physical guys. I was never a top of the class student, but along with that, I enjoyed my sports. I was a good sportsman, uh, athletics, football, hockey. So all those things, as I said, that maybe just emotionally, I'm an outgoing person. I love talking to people. I love meeting people. And as long as I'm not asked to listen for too long, I'm fine with it.
So there are three things he's just told us. One, even if you are not the topper of the class, you could still be a CEO tomorrow. Second, sports play an important role. Third, being friendly is very important. Now, did you get scolded by parents or teachers while you were in school?
Very frequently, very frequently. So I was, and the worst thing was that my elder brother, who was just about 1.5 years older to me, 2 years senior in school, he was a very, very exemplary student. So I had the very major misfortune of throughout my school life, people telling me, why can't you be like your brother in terms of studies and all that?
Right.
And next thing, when I went to college, my father was he was an alumni of the same stream of studies. Most of the teachers and all that were his contemporaries or his slight seniors. So again, I always used to be a benchmark over there that, oh, your father was he was different. Why can't you be like him?
Right.
So that's something, a challenge I've always faced through in my life.
Are there any childhood mistakes or learnings which have helped you become what you are today?
I think a lot of them. Mistakes all of us do. I have been fortunate that brought up in an environment, two brothers back to back. So we were more of friends than brothers or siblings. My father was in a profession where a lot of outdoor activity was there. We used to stay in tents. We used to stay in very rough terrains and all that. I had a snake bite in North Bengal late in the night, so going to a primary health center and everything. So many of those things, what happens at that time, you resist scolding. You take it as an affront to your dignity. But ultimately, I think a lot of it, subconsciously, it stays somewhere within you. So as a parent, I have tried to inculcate that. My father always followed the philosophy that if you have to bring up a child up till the age of 12, you can shape the personality, not beyond that. After that, the child should become your friend. In fact, I am even on very lighter things. My first glass of liquor, I had with my father.
At the age of 12?
No, much later.
Right.
He was. But the point is that that's what he said, that I would prefer that you don't have to go out of the house in order to. He taught me that he was a very sparse drinker. That never finish your glass in a party, but nobody will force you to have a second one. I took it to heart. I used to finish it very quickly.
So, early in your career, have you ever done any part-time jobs, or do you have exposure to direct sales in the beginning of your jobs?
Not really. I think we in a Bengali society, though I was staying in the hostel while studying in college, so for us, the major thing that we used to do was private tuitions. So our school teachers and all that, so youngsters, class 3, 4 students and all that, take them through maths, take them through science and all that. That was the source of earning, how we used to just increase for going to the movies, for the occasional dinner outside and all that. So other than that, not really. But well, there are sometimes, as Shakespeare said, that some people are born great, some achieve greatness, and some have greatness thrust upon them. I think in my case, the ability to, the real extrovert, that possibly helped me that later on adjusting to a sales job, directly, marketing, meeting people, that was a huge advantage. It's temperament. I think for me, it was more of a temperament, less of a training.
Did you resist that? I mean, with
No.
State Bank of India, did you get?
No. For me, I've never resisted. I've tried to work. Yes, I've cribbed personally, but I've always, I think, reasonably taken things in my stride. I've never got bogged down with disappointments.
Right.
A disappointment, maybe it's just I think the effect of sports. Sports teach you how to lose. In life, otherwise, especially in nuclear families, the children never learn how to lose. They are the apple of the eye, they get encouraged for everything. But sports is the only thing where you learn how to lose and accept it gracefully. So that's a huge career shift.
So that's important here because a lot of youngsters, a lot of freshers, resist sales, but Mr. Sinha never resisted that, and that is what gave him the skills later in his career to do marketing. Is there a career decision mistake that you took early on in the first 10, 15 years of your career, which you regret or could have changed?
Very frankly, I think, yes, all of us would have sometimes certain fields, certain decisions. Yes, you might have made a mistake. But I again work on a different philosophy that when you have done something, please don't review that. It's best that you go ahead, take it as a part of your life, how things beyond your control anymore, and just go ahead with the future. It has helped me. It has helped me because when I left State Bank of India, joined an NBFC, maybe that was not the couple of years in State Bank of India might have helped or might not have because again in the segment when I entered, within a couple of years, the ITC classic issues and all that, the industry came under a lot of pressure. So things were difficult. If I had looked back, then okay, maybe I should have done that. But I said that there's no point in looking back. I have done it. I cannot reverse any of them. So with my children, also my daughter, my son, I keep on telling them that when you take a decision, before taking a decision, do a lot of research. Ensure that with the information that you have, very properly, with the information that you are taking the best possible decision. But once you have taken it, do not regret it because then it's always lifelong. You will keep on thinking, oh, if I had not done this, it would have been different. Since it's not in your control, don't even think about it.
So, sir, as you grew to become the CEO, how important do you think was continuous learning in this journey? Do you think for a professional to keep learning new things is important?
Hugely. I think even today, I just retired maybe a month back or half a month back. Even today, I think learning is the only way to survive and survive with dignity. Throughout my period as a CEO, it may not be domain skills that I learn, but what you learn is how to handle a board, what are the other non-domain areas where you can contribute. You learn about what are the developments taking place. In fact, on an aside, I never kept my office cabin door closed, never. Unless there was a confidential meeting going on or there was something else, I always kept it open. It was more of a comfort to myself that outside the banking hall, over there are youngsters. Their chatter, their talks, even their debates and arguments teach me a lot about what's happening. I remain young by that. Otherwise, it's very simple for me to like sit on my pedestal and think that I have learned everything. Everybody's too junior. I think that's a hierarchy. That's actually a complete professional suicide. You have to upgrade your skills, your talking ability. Even today, I am learning so much about technology. I'm learning so much about what the industry wants. It's amazing.
So, what do you do like to keep pace with learning? There's so much of information around us, but how do you select and learn?
So what again, which in our earlier days was never there, you had to port through the entire newspaper in order to find out what are your points of interest. But today on a Google, if you just indicate that what are the areas on which you want to know, you get your alerts. Other than that, you have specific blogs, you have specific websites, you have specific pages which you just can go through at once. I love, I mean, in the morning, I love to hold the paper in my hand. Just glance through that. Is there something which is attracts my attention? And during the day on my iPad, I just open up those news sites and go on probing deeper into it. That's what has helped me.
So, were you always sure when you began your career? Were you sure that one day you will be so successful as you are today, or it just kept happening?
I would love to say that I was sure, but no, I wasn't. I think we were too young to even think about it. At that point of time, a person who was 35 was supposed to be an old man to us. I started my career at 22. So no, definitely not. But maybe, I think the change started happening after I left the public sector, joined the private sector. Private sector definitely starts building a certain sense of aspiration, ambition, everything. Because in the public sector, there are no extraordinary rewards. Rewards are routine. So within a scale, if there are people who are differently calibers, but there's no special recognition. But in the private sector, you had that. I think so that sense of urgency, sense of achievement, and the sense of self-recognition, that the ability, yes, I have the what is needed to go to the top, came into the private sector. And especially after I joined Axis Bank, because over there the recognition was superb, and it really was a confidence booster.
So basically, it's the recognition and opportunities which motivated you, which kept inspiring you to take the next step.
Absolutely, very much so.
What are the skills that you are proud of for yourself and would suggest that everybody should work on?
What is I had earlier mentioned about asking me not to listen, but the point is, I think the ability to pick up the nuances of any discussion, any conversation, it may not directly be a conversation in which you are participating, but anything which goes around you, picking up the nuances of what's happening, what are the upgrades. I think that's a very important skill, very important trait. You must retain it. Books, yes, but books again, you have to spend a lot of time. But there are people like us who are more intuitive learners. So we hear what's happening, on that basis we learn a lot. Second thing is that please remain humble, because I think the ability, even till my last day, I have never hesitated to go to a client space, even if it's just a very small ticket, a junior client, a prospect, going to him and selling, trying and marketing my products, because I have tried to always gauge myself that do I retain that ability, do I retain the skill. Be fair and frank. Don't try and be diplomatic or be very cautious about pleasing others. If there are things on which you have to express your opinion, please do that. Always remember, even your superiors would love to hear the fact. After that, the decision which is taken could be something, but you must share what your feeling is. And you also can benchmark yourself against what you have learned, what your skill that you have. And fourth is, I think, reading. Reading, not necessarily hard copies. Today, digital learning is also very much there. But have a point of interest. Ensure that you keep on something, some focus in mind, which is there, and you keep on increasing your ability to learn on that.
So that's some very valuable advice. I'm sure these 4 tips could help a lot of young professionals in building up a great career. What I see as one of your strengths, is entrepreneurship. Though you've been into a job, but most of the assignments that you've done, I see them more as entrepreneurial initiatives.
Yes.
So where does that? How do you balance being an entrepreneur within an organization?
I would owe a lot on this side to the management in it was still UTI Bank. When Dr. PG and I came in, we saw that transition in 2000 from being just bankers in a traditional sense to each of us being converted into entrepreneurs. Maybe it was because of the responsibilities, the encouragements, the enthusiasm, and of course, along with that, the incentives, both financial as well as emotional incentives, which brought it. And once you have done it, it's an addiction. It's an addiction. I don't think you can get away from it. And it's so much pleasurable when you see your entrepreneurial steps bearing fruit. It's a huge pleasure when I look back at the 8 years I spent in Shriram housing, 7 years in growing the business. When I look at it, or when I look at Axis Bank, also the entire retail business, you have a sense of a fatherly pride. Maybe it's as much pride as I get when people give compliments to my daughter, to my son. It's a sense of immortality that I get. Absolutely.
So I'm sure you always clinch these great opportunities in whichever company you were working with. Because I would not like to say that every organization you've been lucky. You must have done something different. So what should a young professional do today to get noticed in the organization so they attract similar opportunities in future?
It's a cliched thing, but I think there is no substitute for hard work. And hard work doesn't necessarily mean spending a lot of time. Sorry to say, but today's generation, a little bit sometimes I feel that their way of getting noticed is spending more time. to be visible to the superiors. I don't think that's very necessary, because I discourage all my folks from sitting late, because if you are sitting late, that means that maybe there are things which you didn't sit late. You are actually spending more time on stuff which can be finished earlier. So I think there's no substitute for hard work. You must be able to, whatever is your role, do it very diligently and with a lot of enthusiasm. Go beyond your role. Try and see that whether there's something else where you could put your mind to and give some results. Ultimately, climbing up the ladder is not a rat race. The ladder is very clearly, it's a pyramid. There are only a few people who will reach that. So it's not a rat race. What it is actually an identification of capable people. And it's not only one single trait which defines it. I think there are multiple traits. Very clearly, it's not your academic brilliance earlier or lack of it. It is not one single trait. It's just a combination of traits. And of course, there is always a little bit of luck involved, a little bit of encouragement from your superiors and your peers also. Peers are very important. Peers are very important.
So, sir, when you did your first job, you spent 15 years in that, but that was customary. These days, most of the young professionals leave their job, the first job, in the first year, right? Which I personally deter, I discourage them. What advice would you like to give to that?
It has changed, because when I look at my son, he's a very young professional, like most of you over here. But I feel a certain amount of continuity, especially the first job, is very important, because it is not for your organization, it is not for the salary, it is the ability for you to judge yourself. I think whenever, even in school, we don't get paid for learning. We go to a good school or have a good environment to ensure that we get benchmark amongst the best. So in the first job, I think it's very important for you to go through the cycle, enter cycle, a cycle of success as well as also a cycle of disappointment. And I would use the term failures. Failures are rare, but disappointments, yes, definitely. Missing a promotion, sometimes feeling that it was due to me but somebody else got it. I think it's very important to go through that, because it shapes your backbone. It gives the strength to your backbone.
What last word of advice would you like to give to all the students and young professionals?
Advice is a very difficult thing to give, because it depends. But I would say that, please, you guys have the ability. You are hardworking. The fact that today you are over here listening to this, you people have an interest in the world outside of your immediate sphere. So on this basis, keep that up. Keep up that enthusiasm. Don't let small disappointments or trials discourage you on a longer term. All of us, as we grow older, not only on the professional front, on the family front, there are stresses, there are tragedies, everything. We live with all that. A human being is an exceptionally gifted and competent entity. That's why we are on the top of the value chain in the animal world. Please give it a lot of importance. Never lose confidence in yourself and your abilities. Keep your head high and don't benchmark yourself to others. It is never living out with the Joneses. You live for yourself. That's what life is.
Thank you so much, sir. This has been really great. We've got a lot of wise advice. There are students who are watching it right now. There are many professionals who will watch it later on Facebook, LinkedIn, and YouTube. If any one of you has any doubts, any questions that you would like to ask Mr. Sujan Sinha, please post them in the comments, and I'll make sure that they get answered, and we come back to you with the response on that. Thank you so much. Thank you, sir.
It's a pleasure, absolutely. Thank you.